Well, Lorna, why don't we kick it off, and although this is not, we don't have a quorum, we can't
Yep.
take any votes.
I understand.
We would like to see your presentation,
Sure.
and why don't you dive in?
Sure. Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Lorna Brunel. I actually went to Wareham Public Schools when I was little. I went to the Deaconess School and the East Wareham School. My mom lived in Wareham for 25 years. And as you know, my dad, Danny Warren, is probably one of the most dedicated people to the community that you'll find. So I'm really excited to think about collaborating in the future. Also through Sherry Lindsay, we've collaborated with Wareham Public Schools for 15 years. She's bused students into my performing arts facility in Middleborough called the Burtwood School of Performing Arts in the Alley Theater. She's brought Wareham Public School kids from the middle school to see shows at our place for years. So I feel directly connected to the community. Yesterday, I drove through the potential site to have a sip and stroll or an event here, and all I saw was amazing opportunity. It's a beautiful space. The idea of having a stroll along a waterway is something that's been on our bucket list for a while. And what is Sip and Stroll? So Sip and Stroll started 14 years ago as an artisan craft vendor event, as a fundraiser for our scholarship for our performing arts school. It started with 40 vendors and a couple of people offering food, and now it's 84 vendors and 10 food vendors set outside in the Middleborough Town Hall. And the reason why it's called Sip and Stroll, what separates us from other events of its kind, is that we have a full bar for grown-ups. So thousands of people come out to shop 4 times a year. We have a spring show, it's called Sip and Stroll Spring, Sip and Stroll Summer, Sip and Stroll Harvest, and Sip and Stroll Holiday. Our largest show usually has about 5,000, that's our holiday show. And our smallest show usually comes in at 3,000, and that's our July summer show because so many people are traveling. The trickle effect of each stroll supports the entire downtown area. So the restaurants will be packed before and after the stroll, and all of the merchants who are open during the hours of the stroll usually have profits exceeding 10 times what they would normally have made in a day that wasn't a stroll. One store in particular said to me, on a Saturday I would normally make $300 to $500, and on a stroll day I usually make over $7,000. So that's something we're really proud of. And then the repeat customers coming back to the area from the stroll is something that we're proud of. They're continuing to eat in the local restaurants, shop in the local stores. And our demographic isn't just Middleborough or Southeastern Mass. We have people traveling over an hour and a half sometimes to come to a stroll from north of Boston, Rhode Island. And I think that is in part because of our tireless efforts through social media to have people gather. And I think it's also because of our creative strategy to get 84 different vendors all together at the same time so that there's honestly something for everybody. And our proceeds from the booth rental fees go to our scholarship at the Burtwood School of Performing Arts. This year, one of our big scholarship recipients is a Wareham High School graduate named Sage. She trained at our school for the whole senior year when she was at Wareham High, prepping her college essays and her college audition material, and she got into every school she auditioned for. So we're really proud of that. She came for free. So from, again, college paperwork to college preparation, it was all covered by Sip and Stroll booth vendor fees. Like I said, Wareham has a really close place in my heart. My dad is completely dedicated to the area, so the idea of having the opportunity to bring something that I love to a community that we both love is really exciting. I think one thing that we'd have to think about is the calendar if you're interested, making sure that we don't compete with any other events that are happening in Wareham. I spent some time researching. You guys have a lot of wonderful things happening. So finding that sweet spot in the calendar that would fill a gap or a need, and not take away from any of the efforts anyone else already has in play. And I would love to see, when I was driving through, I was thinking, you know, our community was almost a ghost town before I moved back into the center of town. The business that I own has been open 28 years. So the school, the Burtwood School of Performing Arts, is open for 28 years. 14 years ago, I opened the Alley Theater. And in 2020, I opened an outdoor venue called the Patio because of COVID. We can only perform outside. So because of those 3 spaces all happening on one campus, we bring about 800 visitors to downtown every week as foot traffic. And that's something that I know my father's restaurant will definitely bring in. And then our festivals, in addition to our weekly training, our festivals will bring in, like I said, up to 5,000. And then of that, the repeat customers coming in is at least 500 a week on average. So I feel like there's definitely a need for that here. When I drove through yesterday, I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if someone was playing music here and if this was open? I only saw one little cafe area that was bumping, and that was near El Mariachi. And I thought, with such a pretty space back there, the whole thing could have had outdoor activities happening with food and entertainment, and even merchants with their merchandise outside for sale, and a little bit more awareness, I think, for what everyone is selling and what everyone is in business for down there. So I think something like a stroll would make that happen, because it would bring outside people in too. And then you want to go back to that shop. You want to go back and get something to eat at my dad's place or El Mariachi.
Right.
So that's who I am, and that's what I do. I've been a promoter for 28 years. I also work at Boston Casting and TV and Film. So the piece of, I'm a casting director and also very, very committed to the TV and film scene in Massachusetts. So the video element and the video advertising, I think, is important. But as you'll see in our presentation, I also promote on podcasts, radio interviews, TV. So I showed you a clip, I think, from Channel 5. And fun fact, the reporter in the clip is one of my former students. And then Nemasket Week, all the local papers, and then the regional papers too. We've had some great support from the Brockton Enterprise and the Standard Times. So I think the way to get people there is to constantly remind them that it's happening. It's free. The event isn't ticketed. It's free admission, which is wonderful. We always have something for younger people too. This time we had pony rides. We always have face painting, henna, gifts that are made specifically for children, candy booths for children, ice cream, and things like that. So it is a family event. Because of the alcohol component, it's usually billed as a mom's night out or a parent's night out, but kids are certainly welcome. Also, you can have them in the afternoon. I've had afternoon strolls when the sun goes down a little bit earlier in the year, like our November show is usually 12 to 4. But we've also had evening strolls from 5 to 8, and that's how you really bring back like the evening action in a community that needs that foot traffic. So I think the rest will probably be explained in this. And if anyone has questions about certain things, I did add feedback that I received from 14 vendors that I know that participated in the Oyster Festival recently. And that isn't a criticism, it's just something that I'd like to discuss to try to make better in the future moving forward. I always try to leave things, better than I found them, which is something I inherit from my dad. So I guess we'll go to the presentation.
Okay, let's, first I want to thank you, Lorna, for joining us this morning. As I think I may have mentioned, and for the residents who are in attendance here today, I've heard about Sip and Stroll. I first heard about it from Danny Warren, and had the opportunity about maybe it was 6 weeks ago to go to Middleborough and see a Sip and Stroll with my wife, and we were very impressed.
Thank you.
With the vibrancy.
Thank you.
There were obviously a lot of vendors. I found out later it was 84, and then the 10 food vendors. There were the pony rides, the kids were having fun. It was really a good family atmosphere.
Thank you.
And it looked like a great place to shop if you want to get gifts for the holidays or for birthdays.
Yeah.
And I could see immediately how it would reinvigorate any community where you have such an effort. And the organization that went into that was obviously extensive.
Thank you.
You're to be commended for the good work you've done there in Middleborough.
Thank you.
You sent this 8-minute video to Ken and I. I took the liberty of sending it on to the other members of the Redevelopment Authority.
Of course.
So that they could see it in advance of today's meeting. And I know at least 2 of the members are not going to be able to join us today because of conflicting schedules.
Sure.
They will be able to see what WCTV is recording today. And Ken and I will have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Sullivan, our town administrator, and with Ron Bessie, one of our other selectmen. I thought it would be good, too, to let you know that you've got a pretty distinguished audience here among our residents. Mr. Jim Muniz is a former select person of the town of Wareham, very active in town affairs now that he's retired from being a selectman, but he still is very active in planning and helping to make our community better.
Great.
I think you had a chance to meet Tricia Wirtz.
Yes, yeah.
Currently our select woman, and are you the vice chair of the select board now? Is that official?
I don't think it's official.
Not official, unofficially.
I'm just
Our
the
vice
major
chair.
troublemaker.
I knew I liked you.
We had the president of the board of directors for WCTV, our community television, Linda Scharf.
Thanks for coming.
Linda, thank you very much. My beautiful wife, Karen Butler, in the background. Danny Warren, who you already have made mention of, Lorna,
yes.
your dad, and Danny, just speaking for the WRA, we very much appreciate what you've invested in the town, your time and energy, obviously a lot of money, and you're making great progress on your building and your marina down by Bessie Park, and can't wait to see that and get inside again. I've had an unofficial tour. Thank you, Danny, for that. And that's going to help reinvigorate Wareham Village.
Absolutely.
And we're very excited to see that. Taylor, I just introduced a minute ago. And Taylor, feel free to take all the pictures you want. Tony, I talked about Zach is our technician and producer of today's WCTV recording of the event.
Thanks.
And I don't know if you're able to incorporate this somehow, Zach, in your production, but when you get ready to do your production, you may want to take excerpts from this. This is an excellent.
Yeah, I have a camera pointed at the screen and it looks.
Oh, you do? Okay, great.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
well then, without further ado, I'll let Mr. Buckland make it turn on. Or Mr. Muniz.
Okay. I'm so sorry, you hit the button. Which button? Yeah.
Thank you, Pam.
Oh, yeah.
Cookies are right around the corner. Grab that somebody you love and hop into the holiday with events to get you in the spring spirit all across the state. For shoppers, the Sip and Stroll Spree is taking place this weekend at Middleborough Town Hall. From 4 to 7 p.m., attendees can enjoy Saturday night with cocktails and gift buying. Featuring 84 vendors, food trucks, raffles, and more, there's something for everyone. The free event will support the Berkeley School of Performing Arts Scholarship Program.
Sip and Stroll is officially open. How do I know? I have fried dough. Come on down, get it while it's hot. Guess what today is? We are getting ready for Sip and Stroll. Sip and Stroll. I'm here at the town hall. We are setting up for Sip and Stroll. It's an evening of shopping with wine and a full bar, and it's just awesome. We have great vendors.
I'm selling organic home and body care. I make everything, so it's accessible, affordable. We are Cozy Park out, and we sell handmade blankets. I make barware and unique gifts and accessories right from the Vine Oil and Vinegar Company. Lots of personalized items. And gnomes, book and leather handbags, handcrafted for me in Portugal. I'm Shiloh Penrith, Shiloh Penrith Creations. I do lots of things that are ocean inspired. We are wine cellar wicks, and we repurpose wine bottles and we make them into candles. There's a lot going on here. Stop by number 11.
Our queens from Hippie Pilgrim, Karen's Corner, who looks amazing. Support local businesses, shop small, and come on down to Sip and Stroll. Hey everyone, I'm standing next to the bar over here. I'm gonna give you a little update on how we're doing. It's a 1 hour mark, 84 vendors, 2 bars. The bartending service of New England is making it happen back here. 6 food vendors. Hey friends, I'm on the other side of the stroll now, over where the food trucks are. So Mama Deb's is here and some sort of taco guy. Oh my gosh.
Now you pierogies. Frying up pierogies at the Sip and Stroll.
Uncle Joey's cannolis. The sun is shining and it is amazing out. Food, music, booze, shopping, joy. And the best part, all of the booth proceeds from every vendor goes to our scholarship at the Birchwood School of Performing Arts, and everybody working the event is a volunteer. See you at the stroll. Are you doing the Sip and Stroll? Hey everyone, I'm here at the stroll at the welcome booth. I have free shopping bags from Phillips Premier Properties. So if you enter from the Nickerson Ave side, that's where the shopping bags are. They're in a big, big box. And it isn't raining. Can you believe it? Come on down to the stroll. We have food, shopping, booze, raffles. It is a place to be. And it's not raining.
This is a radio interview.
This weekend turns to be a very exciting event. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, thank you for asking. We have 60 vendors, food trucks, the bartending service of New England, lots of volunteers from the shopping extravaganza for all of downtown Middleborough because the Middleborough merchants are celebrating First Fridays. So lots of merchants on the strip will be open until 9 o'clock that night. So I've been saying it's a block party for people to finish all of their holiday shopping, support local. Yes! And for foodies, there's a lot of wonderful things happening for foodies. There's a taco truck that's amazing. Clint Smith, the taco truck, the South Shore Taco guy is gonna be there. And Deb Doyle from Mama Deb's is coming and offering all of our favorite Italian treats, but also fried dough, which I'm so excited about. I made a separate video about that yesterday. And Jaju Pierogi will be there. We love them. We love pierogies. Usually sells about 8 to 12 coolers of frozen pierogies to grab and go to take home. So she's one of our favorites. They're longtime vendors of ours. And then as far as like other yummy treats, there's an out of this world caramel toffee booth called Bradford. And they're a local company
This
right
was
in
a food
Middleborough,
show.
Bradford Toffee.
I came into a radio show. I try to hit every kind of radio opportunity, and this was a food show, so
So
the
I
audience
usually
food,
grab like
yeah.
15 bags of that for stocking stuffers and just, housewarming gifts during the holidays and just my gift one.
So this slide shows that we have students from National Honor. Oh, I'm not sure, are we able to pause that? That's great. So we have students from the National Honor Society and Student Council volunteer at the stroll. So we have about, it's okay if we can't, I'm taking notes.
No,
Thank
you're
you,
right.
Ken, thank you. Thanks. So we call all of the local National Honor counselors and advisors at the local high schools, and we ask if anyone needs volunteer hours. So for here, it would be great, because I know at Bishop Stayne they need hours, and I know they need them at Wareham High too, and even at Upper Cape.
And wait, what do the student volunteers do?
So they help all of the vendors unload and then load, which is really helpful because it helps the setup go really fast, and it's really organized, because as soon as you pull up to unload, you have 5 amazing high school kids running over to your car trying to help you. So it really cuts the setup and the cleanup right down. And then during the show, these students who are there for volunteer hours will walk around to each booth and say, does anyone need a restroom break? Can I go and get a coffee for you? Do you want something from a food truck? Some of the food truck lines are an hour, so a vendor could never leave their booth and go get something to eat. So our interns will run around and do that for them. And then there'll just be booth relief too if a vendor needs to make a phone call or do something like that. And then they will help pack up, like I said, and that's a great part because the cleanup is at the end when everyone's tired. We've been sitting out at the sun. And then they bring their paperwork from National Honor or Student Council, and I sign it right at the event. They'll usually average about eight volunteer hours. They come 2 hours before the stroll, and the cleanup usually takes an hour. And then something else that's really cool, the vendors tip them. Even though they don't have to, they want to. So the students are going away with like $40 a piece after volunteering all day. And then the food truck vendors will just feed the kids, like, my dad would do that. They'd be like, all right, you can come and have some chicken fingers or whatever. So they're eating, they're getting tips, and then they're getting hours. So it's a win-win. And this is just one group that we had at the last event. They're just awesome kids. So that's a fun community part of it. And then several of the kids in those photos have been our scholarship recipient. And then this is, I think, a nice thing to bring the community together. State Representative Norman Orrell always comes to the stroll. I call them local celebrities. Our Board of Selectmen is always there. Our town manager is always there walking the stroll. And it's just nice to see them taking pictures with the kids and the teens. And State Representative Norman Orrell will always talk to the kids about like their college goals or what they're working on in school. And also we collaborate with the Miss America organization. I've been a coach for that organization for 26 years, and that's all scholarship and volunteerism. So we'll have the girls from those local pageants come down, like Miss New Bedford's usually there, Miss New Bedford Teen. And then they'll volunteer at the raffle booth all day, so they're also getting hours in. And then the little kids are seeing princesses, which they're super excited about because there are these girls walking around in crowns. The community outreach, I think, is an important piece. And then, getting all the local restaurant owners there to walk around and just be present is a really great vibe because it shows that community camaraderie and spirit. So then underneath community concerns, one of the only concerns that I have really is making sure that we don't bump into anyone else's event. So, just on a quick 5-minute search, I found all these festivals that are happening within 15 minutes of the village. So just respecting that calendar and working together with leaders to know when the spots are open in the calendar. And then this is some feedback that I grabbed. Thank you so much, Ken. This is feedback that I got from the last event that was here. 14 vendors that we have at our events took part in the Oyster Festival. And a lot of them mentioned that unloading was really difficult, which is where I think even if I don't bring the stroll to Wareham, you could benefit as a community just incorporating your local teens to have them participate in these festivals. And maybe they already are, and I'm not aware of that, but they said unloading was difficult. And knowing exactly where their booth numbers are or we're going to be. I present all of that the week before the stroll. There's a map that's posted. The vendors all receive the map with a corresponding number so that they can see it. And I give that to police and fire a month before the event. And I walk through with the fire chief or our lieutenant to show where all the food trucks will be. If we have a live demo with a blacksmith to show where all that will be happening. So I think having that map posted publicly, I have 4 Facebook pages for the stroll. So the map is always there. And then we use our community page, which is called Middleborough Helping Middleborough, which is almost serving as a local newspaper at this point in that everyone gathers their
Hey
info.
guys, I'm here at the town hall. We are setting up
There's the
city
map.
stroll.
Thank you.
I'm going to reverse the camera so
What do
you
you
can see
know?
what's happening.
You're going on the video or?
No, sure, we can advance on the video. That's a great way to show the map. Thank you so much.
So we have 60 vendors.
It varies from
They're
60 to 84 depending on
setting
weather.
up. We have the girls on the bar. Hey girls on the bar. Hey. If you're getting hot cocoa, we suggest anything from the front row to make it a little warmer for you. My husband's working on some lighting. What up? So yeah, as you can see, we've got it going on here. We've got it going on. I'll take a stroll later when everyone's super set up. I just wanted to give you a little bit of our vibe. This is a sitting area. If you want to take a load off in between shopping, we've got lighting, we've got some music. 60 vendors just doing their thing, making it all magical up in here. So come on down to the town hall in Middleborough from 5:30 to 8:30 and support a really good cause. The Burt Wood School of Performance Scholarship Fundraiser. See you at the stroll.
Could you freeze that?
This is, if we could stop here, Ken, this is just a rough rundown of what the fees are. So the town charges me $5 to use the lawn. And then we pay roughly $200 for the custodian. And the custodian means we can use the bathrooms inside the town hall. It's $5 because I'm a resident of Middleborough.
Do you ever use porta johns?
We have not because we are allowed to go inside, which is wonderful.
Okay.
But I'm not against that. And when I went through the space yesterday, I thought that would probably have to be something that we would add to the stroll. So the custodian essentially opens the bathrooms for us and then restocks the bathrooms during the stroll and provides trash barrels and trash cans, barrels for us and liners. And then I have the interns set a phone alarm every 20 minutes in their phones to check the trash. And I make a trash map where all the trash barrels are located on the lawn. And then every 20 minutes a phone alarm goes off and I'll say on the microphone, interns, check your phones. And then everyone empties the trash. I know it sounds crazy, but downtowns with a lot of construction and a lot of businesses with overflowing
All right, are you prior military?
Yeah.
by any chance?
Actually, there's
You
a
ever
connection
invaded
to
a
the
country?
Army. Yes, there is. So, I just want to make sure that we don't have mice and rodents at the stroll. They're not welcome, even though it's free admission. We don't want them there. Although we did have a raccoon come to the last stroll and did not want to leave once the taco truck set up. True story, animal control got him. So all are welcome except the rodents. So we change trash regularly. When I was looking at the strip yesterday, I thought, how many trash barrels will we need here and how often will we need to change out trash. And so sound is roughly $500, but in a strip as long as yours, I would think that would probably double. And this is for any group that's borrowing these notes, you know what I mean? This is just to help in general make the community stronger, which is my dad's ultimate goal too. So sound would probably double because it's a really long strip, whereas right now I'm producing on an exact square. So I can access 4 points of the speakers really easily. Handouts and maps I think are essential for the folks who aren't always in their phone. But if you are on your phone a lot, there's a code that you can just slide your phone over and the map will pop right up on the phone with the corresponding vendors and the numbers. So that was my way of trying to go green. And then people kept asking for the flyers. So now I print probably, like it says there, almost 1,000 flyers. But most people are accessing the stroll and you see them on their phone like, oh, where is Hippie Pilgrim? Oh, where's Pretentious Pickle? My dad loves their pickled beets. Oh, where's so-and-so? And it's all through the phone. And then police and fire. So this is an interesting thing. I always know the fee for the police detail. It never changes in our community. But the fire detail changes based on the rank of who they send to cover the event. So if it's captain, it's a different thing than if it's lieutenant, it's a different fee structure. So we usually don't know what that will be until we are billed, honestly. But we know the high end of what it will be, so we can plan on the high end. It's about $100 an hour. I asked police to come to our strolls because we serve alcohol, and 105, as my dad can tell you, is usually so congested. It's pretty hard to cross the street, which is a good thing, but it's also a safety thing. So we also pay extra for the cruiser to have the lights on at the event so that it's something that people can see and they know people will be crossing 105 and Main Street. And then this year, our Chief Owen Thompson, thought because it is such a large event that it would be good to have fire there too, just in the event of a medical emergency, heat stroke or something like that. So they are set up for triage and they're there, and it's great to just have our police and fire present showing support, and everyone takes pictures with them and they're walking around. So this year we were lucky and we got a grant from the Mass Cultural Council for $750, which helped us apply that to our police and fire. Police and fire can run up to $1,500 per event, depending on how many firefighters we have and police officers we have. But in my opinion, safety is the most important aspect of an event where you have thousands of people in one spot with very hot temperatures in the summer. And then there are little incidental fees. For example, we have one of the paint guns so you can map out the lines for the vendors. Although I noticed in your strip, the waterway in the village area, those parking lot,
Perfect.
it's perfect. I don't know if they've done it that way before, but it's almost a built-in booth. And then I would run, so if you ran those on the right with all the parking strips and then mirrored it on the left, I think you could have equal vendors all the way down and then shop throughout the middle. I was really intrigued by your little sitting area too, that's kind of a fenced-in
The old
depot.
train depot.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I see so much potential there, but that's all in my
You're
notes.
supposed to downplay that part.
Oh, I was? Oh, the bathrooms, yeah, I mean, I just thought that was a great
Oh,
area.
that's right, I forgot about the
Because of the bathrooms, I was like, oh, there are bathrooms, you know? I get super excited about stuff, I'm an enthusiastic energy for whatever I jump into. So that I thought, I mean, I could just see my dad serving something amazing there to eat, and the bathrooms are right there, and it just seemed like a great meeting spot too, you know, like, I'm over here. Okay, so yeah, so that's the basic rundown. The volunteers are volunteers, and my whole team who comes, we're all volunteers too. So the booth fees are how we give back, you know. Okay, so if we could advance, Ken or Zach, that'd be great. Okay, so these are just some of our scholarship recipients. The girl on the right is, if we go back one slide, that's
Hey, Fred.
Sage. Yeah, right here, thank you.
That's Sage.
The girl right there on the right is Sage. I think if you could read it, it says she just graduated from Wareham High in June. You know, she's leaving for college this week.
Where's she going to college?
Marymount Manhattan. Yeah. And she also got into the Boston Conservatory, which is really hard. That's my alma mater. They take, 5% of people who audition. She got in. We're really proud of that. Little boy in the middle is our retired police chief's grandson. He was one of our scholarship recipients, little boy Max. So we usually give away about $12,000 a year in scholarship, just from the stroll, which is really awesome. And I think we're ready to press play again. Please. I think there's one more.
Hey friends, I just wanted to let you know that Sip and Stroll is September 16th at the Middleborough Town Hall. It's our harvest show, one of our most popular shows of the season. We can't wait to see you there. We have amazing food trucks and food vendors, the bartending service of New England, and 84 incredible vendors. Some new vendors and of course our loyal returning vendors that cannot wait to see you, our loyal fans. So call all your friends, save the date, pop it in your calendar, invite everyone you know, share our flyer, and we will see you at the stroll.
Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you.
That was impressive.
Thanks, Glenn. Any comments?
Yes, and Lorna, since we're not officially in a meeting yet, until we have a quorum,
I understand.
it's perfectly appropriate for me to, I can ask questions, but I've got a lot of questions. But before I ask questions, I'd like to let our residents react to your presentation, see if they have any questions. You can, in fact, do you want to move over here?
Yeah, that would be great if you don't mind. I'm just
Take
used
this
to
one right here, Lauren.
talking to friends face to face.
Go ahead, Danny, take my seat.
It's the
Thanks.
theater girl in me. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Lorna? I think that was all pretty self-explanatory, what you would envision for
Sure.
our Wareham Village. But I'd like to hear what people think.
I have about 200 questions,
I'm all yours.
but I'll limit it to a couple.
Sure.
So you're looking at complete budget, and I really respected how you've involved so many different volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
If you were looking at really the type of budget the town would have to have, I think it would be a good investment, but we need to know the WRA and some of the other town on, what it would be. And the second part of whether it's budget or not, obviously the popularity of what you do has grown year by year.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think would be a minimum trial point? Because I hate to see someone do something and then say, well, it wasn't what we wanted,
Sure.
when it really needs 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Absolutely.
Whatever. And
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your
Sure.
opinion on what that adoption curve would be.
Absolutely. So I always go into everything low risk. It's just how I roll. And as far as, no, this started in my school, with only 30 vendors. That was very low risk. I had nothing to lose. It's my space. And then it ended up having 500 people the first time, stretching all the way around the block. And then, and it grew so rapidly, we went to the town hall. Regarding the budget for your community, I assumed that I would come in just as, an organization that was using your space and running the event and not having any cost for you at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's just how I thought it would be structured. Like, for example, the community in Middleborough doesn't pay for anything. That MCC grant that I got was the first time this year in 14 years.
Lorna, I'm assuming there would be advertising costs, so
Right.
promotional costs.
I do everything on social media, so it's all free. The media coverage that I have on Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 4, that's because my students are anchors at all of those stations.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by low risk. And then we would assume the cost of fire and police, and it would come out of the booth fees unless there was a grant I could apply for through your MCC in Wareham. I don't know when your deadlines are or anything like that, but this year that's how we paid police and fire for our April show. And let me see what your other question was. Oh, as far as how long does it take to catch on?
Maturation curve, yeah.
Right, that's a great question because I would be a new promoter in Wareham. So it would either be something that would be equally as successful because I'd be bringing a lot of the same vendors who already have huge followings. When I vet a vendor, the first thing I ask them once I see their product is what their social media following is. So Hippie Pilgrim is one of our most popular vendors, but she has 100,000 followers. She was Queen Latifah's chef and she won a Top Chef cooking competition. So she's what we call a very high profile anchor vendor because she's going to have 800 people come just to see her. And she participated in the Oyster Festival and she brought those people. They came and they bought garlic salts from her. And if I have a vendor who's new to the scene, who has a smaller following, which is usually about 1,000 social media followers, and I mean per social media, so Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and even Snapchat. And then the next thing I do after I look at their social media following is I look at their actual presence on social media. How frequently are they posting? Are they using videos? Are they using TikToks? Are they making event pages? Are they posting photos of their work in progress getting ready for the show? If they're not doing that, they're not a good fit for us because this is a group effort. We need all 84 vendors to be on their social media, inviting their following in addition to my work, which is why I think thousands of people show up. It's the missing link, honestly, in local vendor events. The local vendor events are there for the cause, whether it be a fundraiser for a church, a sports team, a school of performing arts. And then once they get the vendor quota and they have that money, I feel like they've lost sight of what the next step is. And the next step is bring the people in, make sure they have a great time, make sure it's really successful so that it continues to roll, you know what I mean? I hope I answered your question. So ideally, it would be a success, right? I, knock on wood, haven't really participated in a lot of things that haven't been successful. And I think it's because I'm just like nose to the grindstone nonstop. But that comes to the community calendar piece. If it's an oversaturated season and you've already had 3 festivals, can the average shopper show up? Because we don't want them to just show up and have a beer and have a burger. We want them to buy stuff so that the vendors want to come back, so that your anchor vendors, your high-end 11,000 followers or 100,000 followers, they want to come back. So if we found the perfect spot in the calendar where we weren't already hitting folks who have already spent their monthly budget on fun, if that happens, then I think there's no way it can't succeed.
And so I'm very impressed with you, obviously.
Thank you.
I saw your film last night and I wrote A++. I was
I'll take it. Thank you.
I come from a marketing background
Oh, yeah.
and there was nothing about it. And I hadn't even, that's just what I saw. It wasn't what I heard today.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
It's so honest.
That's so lovely. And ask Dan, we made that video in 4 hours. Dan
Yeah,
wrote
that was-
back. Oh, that was a quick
that
turnaround.
was quick.
Yeah, it's, and so where I was going with this is our town needs to understand if you invest in this one time, it might be good.
Right.
But if you're doing it twice a year or you're making a commitment to do it for at least 3 years,
Right.
that you're gonna see substantially more growth.
A return on the
And that's what
investment,
you're
sure.
talking about.
Yeah, I understand. Everyone wants the return on the investment. That's why I've always just gone at it on my own and, brought zero risk to anyone involved. It's like, it's a no risk event. If we do it that way, if we structured it differently and the town of Wareham brought me in to produce an event for the town, then that's certainly a different discussion we could have when you have your quorum and if you want to revisit that. But I'll answer questions in, either scenario for you. Thank you. And thanks for the feedback. That's so nice.
Any other comments or questions? Jim?
Hi, Jim.
How you doing? Is this run through a 501c3?
I'm not a 501c3, I'm an LLC.
And do you, all the funds or all the profits go to scholarship
Through our school.
through the performing arts?
Yep, which is in
For
Middleborough.
performing arts only?
for students in the performing arts, but it's also for paperwork for college. And that's something I'd love to be more open about. If a student needs some other kind of support, I help with essay writing for school, and I do a lot of interview prep for 8th graders getting ready for trade school interviews. So this year I probably helped 60 kids get ready for their big interviews. These are competitive trade schools now.
That's
And-
on your own, right?
We've done that through Sickenstroll too. Yeah, so we've used those funds to help kids with that too. So our percentage, knock on wood, of students getting into trade schools is every single student we've helped has gotten in.
And have you ever attended our Swan Festival? We used
I
to
have.
run in the fall.
I have, yes, yep.
That was a pretty good festival. Oyster Festival was good too.
I thought the Swan
A lot of
Festival
people
was
enjoyed it.
fantastic. I thought it was a fantastic festival, yep. And we're not a 501c3, to get back to that. If we were, then a lot of the stuff that we do on our own would be covered. But we were so excited to be recognized by the Mass Cultural Council this year after all the years we've applied. And now that we're an LLC, we'll have the opportunity to apply for a lot more. I've been in business 28 years and we just became an LLC this year. I started as a sole proprietorship. I opened the company when I was 24. And I didn't understand the difference between any of it back then. But thanks for asking that, Jim.
Taylor?
Oh, so
Taylor?
is there an estimate of how much will be raised?
Oh, for the booth fees?
Yes.
Oh, sure. So we can, our booth fees are $85 right now. And for 2024, they'll probably go up. But I can do quick math for you. So it's 85 times 84, that's 7140. And then that's just for the booth vendors who are the crafters. And then our food vendors, it's additional 850. So, I mean, yeah, it's just short of 9,000.
You take a percentage of the liquor,
I don't, Ken, thanks for asking. I have never taken a percentage of food or alcohol. In fact, the venue that I run a performance venue. It's entertainment, bands, concerts, authors, all these different events. 48 events a year, 48 weekends a year. I don't take a percentage of the bar then either. We work with the Bartending Service of New England, and I don't take a percentage of the food vendors. We all came through COVID together, and not to sound corny, but we literally saved each other during that time. We wouldn't have made it without the bar. We wouldn't have made it without the food. They might not have made it without us because the governor let us go outside. So we were outside in 2020, 21, and 2022 during every surge, hustling outside with an acoustic duo, pizza, and beer. So I haven't taken a cut of any of that. I feel like we're all still kind of carrying and lifting each other like buoys, and we're still a little bit running through quicksand. So I haven't done that. But if another group did it, that would be wise.
Would you talk just a little bit about the Alley Theater?
Sure,
Me and Derek have talked about this already.
sure.
Just explain to them what that is and what that has done for Middleborough.
Sure. So I like to lead this part of a talk with a quote from Senator Mark Pacheco, who said at the State House, and this is no disrespect to an effort that was made in our community, but he said, "We thought Massasoit Community College satellite was going to revitalize downtown Middleborough, when in fact it was the Alley Theater." And that means a lot to us. So 14 years ago, I opened an indoor venue called the Alley Theater. It's called the Alley because it used to be a bowling alley over 100 years ago in Middleborough. Bowling alley and billiards. So we love that it's still in the entertainment genre. And it's a really small theater. It only holds 110 seats, but 48 weekends a year, something's happening there. From folk music to rock bands to modern music to authors to mediums. I mean, there's always something happening. And now it's quite a destination. We just had the Highland Divas there, who opened up at the Tattoo in Scotland, which is like, this is massive, massive. They just played our venue, the Highland Divas. And we're like, everyone said, how the heck did you get the Highland Divas? We've also had a lot of students from our past training who have done really well on American Idol and The Voice and The X Factor and all these really big shows. So they play our venue now, and people will say, oh my gosh, Jillian Jensen's here, a local girl from Rochester who went to Stang. My dad's seen her band. Her bass player is like literally on fire. She sells out in 15 minutes, and hi, good morning. How Well, there are cookies.
Ms. Whiteside? Is that what you meant?
We have to move pretty fast on a couple items there.
Really fast. Sorry.
Judy has another meeting to go to.
What time is your next meeting, Judy?
10.
10, okay, okay.
And we have to
My daughter
approve the
Laura.
minutes of the
Judy.
last meeting.
Hi, good
Okay.
morning.
Why don't we call let's officially call the Wareham Redevelopment Authority meeting to order. It's 9:50. And Ken, roll call?
Judy Whiteside, Ken Buckland, and Dan Butler. We have a full
Okay.
quorum.
Thank you, and Judith, let me catch you up. I don't know if you've met Lorna, I presume, or?
No, but I watched the video.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We just played the video for WCTV and for the residents that have joined us today for our meeting.
Okay, awesome.
And Lorna has been engaging in a nice discussion with the group. And we wanted to ask her a few more questions, and we're glad you were able to make it. Lorna, why don't we give Ms. Whiteside
Sure.
an opportunity to ask questions, and then I'll have a few towards the end. But
Absolutely, yep.
Judith, do you have any questions based on what you saw in the video or what you know of Sip and Stroll?
Nope.
Nope.
Except that I'd give you a AAA.
This is so lovely.
You're getting good grades today, Lorna.
Thank you, Miss Judy. Thank you.
Yeah, Judith, Lorna gave a great opening presentation to the video, commented on aspects that are in the video.
Thank you.
And there were questions from Jim and Tricia and Taylor from the Mascot Week, Sippacan Week, or today Wareham Week, regarding fees and things like that. And I think I can summarize to say that bottom line, Lorna has made the point that she's been able to help revitalize Middleborough, bring in a lot of foot traffic,
Mhm.
benefit the merchants, benefit students of the Burtwood School in Middleborough, to include a student that just graduated from Wareham High School.
Yeah, Sage, yeah.
And she's been able to do that at low to no risk
Yeah.
to the town of Middleborough. She's absorbed all the costs by virtue of, I think, excellent organization and the
Thank
ability
you.
to promote the events very well. And Tricia in particular commented on promotion and marketing. That's key. Obviously, one of the things we're trying to do in Wareham is revitalize Wareham Village, bring customers to the merchants in Wareham Village, reintroduce Wareham Village to members of the town, residents of the town, and visitors. And Lorna has taken the opportunity to survey an area, Merchants Way in particular,
Yeah.
as an area where we might want to try and emulate Sip and Stroll here in Wareham.
It's a
And-
diamond in the rough. It's beautiful back there. I mean, a few businesses cleaning up a bit around their dumpsters and stuff like that. And I think it would just be stunning for an event.
And Ken, did you have any questions for Lorna before I ask a few?
Yeah, I do. One is that Town Hall in Middleborough is pretty visible from the street.
Yes, yes,
And it's got a nice big lawn around there and
Yes.
it's kind of open.
yes.
Merchants Way is tucked back in there and it does have a nice view of the water, but it doesn't have the traffic across it unless it's open
Right.
for travel.
Yes.
Do you think you'd want to do anything to increase visibility?
Absolutely. I think that's where social media comes in. So the weeks leading up to the event, I would go down there with my phone and I would make lots of videos. You know, hey, it's Lorna. I'm standing outside of El Mariachi. This is this street. Follow me. Come on down. I'm going to show you where we're going to be. And I'd post that everywhere. In fact, having access to the Wareham social media pages, as I said to you on our first chat, would be the most important component, because if I have permission to jump on those pages, I can access everybody in the community really quickly. And then through the newspaper, we'd talk about where the show will be, where the festival will be, what the route would be. And then our interns will definitely be on the main street directing people to that area. I mean, I've got lots of colorful costumes and different character things they could wear. We can have different balloons and visibility. And I like the idea of it being on the backside where the water is, because I think it opens up more parking on your main street for all of that street parking there. I did drive around trying to see where people would park for festival. I spoke to a detail police officer who was installing, he was on a detail, someone was installing lights on the railroad tracks yesterday, and he mentioned that whole parking lot near the fire station is available for parking, and that's a pretty good sized lot. And I think if we started our visibility on that end, in front of the fire station, like off to the side where the gas station is in between the two, saying that there's visibility with signs and arrows, and then I think closer to my dad's place on the other end, if we had signs and visibility, we would be directing traffic who's coming in from either direction saying like, this is where the party is. But social media, I think, is the most important part for that. Ahead of time, letting them know ahead of time in every promotional video, in every press release, in any media exposure that we have, or interviews or radio.
The Oyster Festival has huge crowds.
Yes, yeah.
So, and they manage the parking, so.
Yeah, 14 of my friends were vendors in that, including my dad.
Yeah, we close off Main Street, or parts of Main Street for that as well.
If you need a vote, you got 4 more minutes, 5.
We need to vote on the minutes of the meeting, for previous meetings, we can file that.
These two.
Okay, that's a good point. Can we jump to that very quickly then? Did members have an opportunity to see the minutes from our July 13th and August 10th meeting?
Yes.
Move to approve both these sets of minutes from
Do I
July
hear a second?
13th as
Second.
well as August 10th.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye, okay. We've approved those minutes for posting 300. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Judith. Actually, you bring up a good point, Judith. We got the case study presentation as a preamble to our meeting today. And we do have an opportunity for a few questions before we lose you. Do you see any need for a vote from the Wareham Redevelopment Authority regarding what in essence is a proposal? Lorna is offering to bring Sip and Stroll to Wareham if we can find an appropriate date. And if the town can be supportive in the ways that she needs, police detail, fire detail, permission to use Merchant's Way.
And permission for the social media pages.
And somehow we'll have to get her access to social media pages that right now she's being denied, like Wareham Matters.
Because I don't live here and I don't own a business
But you
here.
could go through me.
If they let me, I hope so. Because
I can
Make you part of one of my
She can
businesses.
come across the
You have
hallway
to.
and I'll put her in touch with somebody who can get her on right away.
Okay.
I make a motion to engage Ms. Lorna Brunel to promote Wareham through a similar sip and stroll type activity for the town of Wareham.
Second.
Hearing any discussion? Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Lorna, you obviously made the sale today.
Thank you.
You have the chairwoman of our select board, who is
so
our
much.
town's leader.
Thank you, Judith.
And she,
Would you like to step across the hall? Because I can get you onto social media. right now.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you.
Okay.
and Lorna, I'll have other
So
questions,
those
I'll
are-
do those outside the
those are-
venue of the meeting and,
Okay, sure.
because I know how to get a hold of you.
Okay,
And I
absolutely.
appreciate you coming today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And we need to talk about calendar in particular,
Yes,
so we can
yeah.
try to figure out a good day.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll be right back. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
We lost our quorum.
We've lost our quorum. Let's see, but let's see what we did accomplish today. We got the case study presentation and WRA support for bringing Sip and Stroll to Wareham. I think that's a significant outcome. We still have to talk about air rights. Ken, if we can push that to a future meeting. I know Jared's still doing work on that, but if you could have Jared be prepared to provide us with an update. I think our September 14th meeting agenda is going to be packed, particularly with the discussion of Littleton Drive and getting the update from Tony and Charlie Adams and the residents in the neighborhood.
I have somewhat of an update from Tony right now on Littleton as well too, if you want to hear it, but it's not part of the meeting, so it doesn't matter at this point.
Okay. How about if I get that from you afterwards?
Yeah, it's fine.
And we'll save that. And Tony, do you mind sticking around for a few minutes just so we can chat about how the progress? I've seen your latest progress report, but I'd like to chat with you a little bit more about it if you don't mind.
Sure, no worries.
Urban renewal plan, Ken, we'll bring that up at the next meeting also. I looked at the update. You and I ought to go over it a little bit with a fine tooth comb and then I'd like to have all of the WRA members here when we get ready to discuss that in more detail. And we're gonna have to talk about expanding the Citizens Advisory Group. I have two potential people that we can add to the CAG. And I'd like to have the WRA members identify anybody else that they think might be a valuable member of the Citizens Advisory Group. The more we can open up visibility into the planning for the urban renewal plan for Wareham Village, the better. And Ken, I guess we'll get the update on the master developer for Tremont Nail Factory at our next meeting. We'll save your report for next meeting. I will offer one thing for the remnants of our group here today, now that Judith has departed. Ken has been doing some he's shown a lot of initiative. He's been getting out and doing field work, and most recently he was down at Hammond School on the pickleball courts, trying to learn a little bit more about the nation's fastest growing sport. And I have to say, he didn't hold back. He was diving for balls on the pickleball courts on that day, and he probably has a few bumps and bruises and strawberries to prove it. And Ken, thanks for doing that. The pickleballers that were out there were excited that somebody of your stature was out there showing them how to play the game. So that was a lot of fun. Ken, I got your WV1R draft design guidelines from the planning board.
Right.
I thought they were excellent, and I think we need to follow up on what you need from us on the WRA to support the
Well, it
planning
needs
board.
to be adopted into the urban renewal plan as part of that plan. So it's included with the content.
Okay. And I think our quorum evaporated at 10 o'clock. So I'll call the meeting, I'll adjourn the meeting. Ken, any objections to adjourning?
No.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.